What's going on, Tom Tribe? Welcome back to another episode of Texas on My Mind. I am your host, Brantley Smith. I am very excited to speak with you guys this week a little bit about an amazing trip that I was lucky enough to go on this past weekend to one of my favorite places in Texas, the Big Bend area of West Texas. Um, my father, my brother, my uncle, my two cousins, and a few other extended family, and a second cousin, a brother-in-law of one of my cousins, and his father, were all invited to spend a weekend at the Neville Ranch in Alpine, Texas. Um, this is actually the first time that the Smith men of my father's side of the family, all of the living Smith men and extended family, were able to get together for a weekend. So it was a special time for us. It was about a 6 hour drive for me from Austin, but absolutely one of the most pretty drives you'll ever have, especially driving down I-10. But um, if you're unfamiliar with the Big Bend area, it is, if you look at Texas, the state of Texas on a map, the Rio Grande has a large bend in it that divides us between Texas, the United States, and Mexico. This area is known as the Big Bend area, primarily known for the Big Bend National Park, which is on the, all the way pretty much, um, you know, down from about 70 miles south of Alpine all the way to the border. It's, I believe, one of the largest, if not the largest, national park in the United States. And it is known, West Texas in general, or the Big Bend area, is known for the cool climate, kind of the desert style climate. It is known for the beautiful mountain plains and mesas that make up most of the country, wide open spaces. You feel like you truly are in the American West still. And I believe it is so different compared to the rest of the terrain that makes up our wonderful state. And in my opinion, one of the most beautiful places in Texas happens to be in the Big Bend area. However, we were there. We were going in for a trip. The drive-in from Central Texas is absolutely immaculate. I mean, you drive through some really cool towns, like Fredericksburg, very well known, just an hour west of Austin, very well known wine country. They have an amazing main street that is, known for the Texas culture. German culture, I believe, is kind of originally what Fredericksburg was founded by Germans, breweries, etc. Incredible place. Then you hop, skip, and a jump over to actually another place that I've hunted before in college, a place called Fort McCavett. You drive through that. I think you hit that about halfway through. And Fort McCavett was an old U.S. military fort. It was built actually to defend the citizens and population of that town, the settlers from the Native American tribes, as well as a place to educate and teach English and other Anglo culture, any other type of teachings to the Native American tribes that are in that area. It is a place where it has humongous white-tailed deer. Unfortunately, the largest deer that I've ever seen in my life, I was not able to take down. But that's another story from a few years ago. Then you keep driving through. Another cool place is Ozona. But once you hit I-10, what's really cool, I believe you pass Fort McCavett on I-10, but I know you definitely pass Ozona. while you're on I-10. The speed limit goes up to 80 miles per hour. So you're able to really get up there. It's just, again, it's wide open range. So they let you go a little bit faster up there. I did see two state troopers. One of them had somebody pulled over. The other was just kind of gunning for people. But I never really drive more than 5 miles over the speed limit. And when you got an 80 miles per hour speed limit, you don't really need to. But Azona is also a really cool town. I feel like I know that town. Never visited, but I feel like I know that town pretty well because there was an incredible restaurant in College Station, as well as in Dallas, where I grew up, the neighborhood I grew up, called Azona's. Awesome Mexican food place. They had amazing cheeseburgers too. They had this amazing Hawaiian bun that made this, amazing cheeseburger. I believe it's still in Dallas. I'm not sure if the College Station one is still around, but that kind of got me curious about where Azona was, teeny tiny town, in kind of west central Texas. As you keep going along, you make it through Fort Stockton, which is probably the largest town, if you will, that you pass through on the way to Alpine. It is known for, pretty much south of Midland, the largest town in that area. I've hunted there as well. Luckily, my father has one of his best friends from growing up has an amazing place in Fort Stockton that's been in his family for a number of years, and I can't tell you how amazing the bird hunting is in that area. Quail, dove. Every time we've been, even turkey. I'm sure there's plenty more. Every time we've been, we have limited out every time. It's an incredible place. I haven't been back for a dove hunt in a while, but I look forward to hopefully being invited back to the Warnock Ranch in Fort Stockton soon. Once you get to Fort Stockton, it is about an hour more to Alpine. Once you get to Alpine, there's really kind of three main cities that make up kind of or towns, if you will, or at least the ones that are the most famous, that make up the Big Bend area. You have Alpine first, as well as Marathon, not to be confused as Marathon. It's spelled like marathon, but it is pronounced Marathon, Texas. Very well known for the Gage Hotel. And then last is Marfa. And Marfa is probably one of the most well-known towns in the Big Bend area. And you would think it'd be because of the Marfa lights, but unfortunately, well, I guess it put it on it started putting it more on the map in the art scene. But there's is it a Chanel store? No, it's, I want to say Prada. I think I'm wrong though. Anyways, there's an art installation there that is now I got to look it up. Okay, I was right. It is a Prada store. It is not a real store. It is only a art exhibit off the highway. But I feel like every girl that I knew in college and post college seemed to have a picture of it in their apartment somewhere because it's just very well known. It's not a functioning store, but it's a cool little sideshow attraction, if you will. A lot of people take their picture in front of it, but Marfa is well known also for, the arts. A lot of artists, music. They have these amazing attractions, sculptures, etc. It's a whole vibe. So I would say if you can, I would highly recommend if you can make a trip, you definitely visit those three towns as well as the Big Bend National Park. But yeah, throughout the entire trip, once you hit kind of, I think Fort Stockton, like I said, you just see this amazing terrain that makes up West Texas. It is the mesas, the beautiful landscape, can be seen for miles and miles. It is an incredible place in Texas, very special to us Texans and to my heart just by it just being an amazing place to visit. So it was an incredible drive in. A little bit about Alpine, Texas. Just give a little bit of history, or just like the Big Bend area, right? So humans have actually inhabited the Big Bend area for over 10,000 years. Yes, I said 10,000 years. It is, they've found, paleontologists, scientists have found evidence of human remains that carbon date back to around the 8 to 10,000 year range. Um, Spaniards, I guess the modern explorers, if you will, arrived in the Big Bend area in 1535. Thanks to Cabeza de Vaca, a Spanish explorer who traveled through what is now Brewster County, which Alpine sits, I believe. In the 17th century, we had three primary Native American tribes that made up the Big Bend area in Alpine: the Mescalero Apache, the Kiowa, and the Comanches, which was the largest tribe in Texas, and very much made up the majority of the plains area of Texas, but also had little subsets in the Big Bend area. But there was other nomadic tribes that made up that area that were less well known as well. The Anglos and Hispanics did not make it to Alpine until the 1840s, really. So it was virtually untouched. I mean, there were settlers that made it there looking for kind of venturing out to make, kind of stake a claim. There was just immense minerals in that area. It still seems to be a large mineral wealthy region of Texas. So that's why, these individuals, these settlers made it out there, started lots of mining and other kind of mining style, mining culture kind of made up this area where the railroad eventually arrived. And originally the town was called Osborne. They originally named it Osborne, and then they changed it actually to Murphyville because there was a Murphy, two brothers, last name Murphy, who had a ranch in the area. And in order for the rest of the town, the settlers and the railroad especially, to get water, they worked out a deal where they could draw this water from the Murphy Ranch, and so they renamed it Murphyville for a time being, and then eventually settled on the name Alpine in 1888. What else? The town itself is 4,475 feet in elevation. The surrounding mountain peaks are 1 mile above sea level. The roughly, again, it's around 70 miles north of the Big Bend National Park area, over 150 miles from the border. And the town itself, while it is small, it actually houses a semi-large, kind of medium-sized university called Sul Ross State University, where the museum of the Big Bend actually is housed on its campus. The museum actually showcases world-class exhibits of Native American artifacts, Texas history, geology, paleontology, and other Western art. So we actually, what was cool is when we were at the ranch that we stayed at, which I'll get to in just a second, we were actually able to see how many arrowheads that have been collected over the years. In fact, my cousin's son actually found one that was incredibly well put together. Definitely used by a Native American at some point for an arrowhead, which is incredible. But anyway, so once we got to the town of Alpine, it was a short drive, I believe, down Highway 90 from the town square to the Neville Ranch, which is been in a friend of my Uncle Kenny's. His name is Jeff Haynes. I want to give a shout out to Jeff Haynes for allowing my family and myself to be a guest at his ranch. We had an incredible time, but it's been in his family for a number of years. And it used to be very vast. I mean, it's still a very large acreage, but over time they've sold off bits and pieces of it. But he's slowly but surely trying to actually build that, buy back some of those parts that were sold off by other family members in the past. But the Neville Ranch is located it was formed in 1881, and the name of the town, the actual town, is Calamity Creek, Texas. And just to put it in perspective of, how close we were to the border, even though you go through Big Bend, it's over 100 miles from the border, but there's still Border Patrol stations situated on these highways. In fact, we drove through one. I had to drive through it to get there. You don't stop when you're going south, but they definitely stop you on the way up. So they stop you. They check for illegal immigration that's going on. They check if you're a U.S. citizen. 90% of the time, they make you prove that you're a citizen. I think I got them at a good time when I was driving back on Sunday. I didn't have to throw out my wallet or things like that. But yes, you have to pass through a border crossing, and then you're at the ranch. So incredible ranch. You drive in. We drove in, and we were actually, when I was driving in, my dad and my cousin Taylor actually pulled up just to make sure that I didn't miss that turn, because literally you don't have any cell service out there. So even when I punched in, where even to the coordinates where this ranch was, just south of Alpine, there's no cell service once you get over this mountain range, so you never know. But luckily we had good instructions, and my dad did me a solid and drove out there and waved me down. But once we drove in, you see this vast mountain range in the back. We actually rolled up. When I rolled up to the ranch house, there was about 12 turkeys, actually, just a covey of turkeys just hanging out right by the ranch house. I wish I could have loaded my rifle or my shotgun soon enough, but we were there to hunt deer. That's what we were there for. We were there to hunt deer and other large big game animal that were in the area. So, but I'm going to take this time to actually give you a little 411, if you will. So going on a hunting trip, a lot of us talk about, well, what should we wear, right? That's why I'm kind of decked out today. I got my Stetson cowboy hat on. Always a must when you're going out to someone's ranch in Texas, or out to the mountain ranges or open plains of Texas. I have a camo shirt on, very comfortable, made by Poncho. I've been a big fan of Poncho for about a year to 2 years now. I feel like they're up in their game. I feel like I started with some of their short sleeve kind of button downs. I feel like they were just a little bit better and felt a little bit nicer, I think they had more utility than your standard like PFGs or other flannel shirts. So I've been a big fan. I got this actually as a gift from my wife. Shout out to Callie. And then usually I'm in blue jeans right now, but usually I rock like some sort of brush pants, or Wrangler. I mean, makes fantastic. They actually have tan jeans, which I usually wear in a hunt like that, because blue usually stands out a little bit more. But if you're sitting in a blind, or honestly, we're like sitting in a truck while hunting, the down, the below the belt gear isn't as, it's not as crucial, if you will. And then last but not least, I have my Chippewa snake boots on. These are pretty common, I'd say, for ranch culture. In fact, they're some of the most comfortable boots that I wear. They, besides Chippewas, there's a number of brands that make snake boots, and what makes them snake boots is this high kind of guard, if you will, on your shins. Um, but I will say they really throw the outfit together, if you will. Um, and they just they're very comfortable. And I've never, luckily, had a brush with a rattlesnake or any other type of snake, even though there's a ton in the, especially in the Big Bend area. Luckily, we're there in December, so snakes are all mostly hibernating in their holes, but you never know. Um, but if I do, I'm prepared. They're not going to get me. So now it is super windy in West Texas. It's one of the kind of desert landscapes. So I had to. I actually tried to wear my cowboy hat for the first day that we got there and we went on the hunt. But I swiftly switched over to my brand new gift from Jeff Haynes Neville Ranch hat because my cowboy hat was just flying off all over the place. So, but it was really cool. So my brother Mac, he actually hasn't gone hunting a ton with, especially he hasn't gone hunting period without my dad. But I think he's only gone with me once, and that was when we did a big hunting trip with my dad and maybe my uncle. We've done some fishing trips, but we've never done hunting trips. So it was really special to have him there. And what's really cool, so I got there on a Friday evening, Friday afternoon, if you will, and my brother and dad, as well as my uncle and some of the other members of the group arrived that Thursday night. So they got to hunt in the Friday morning, and there's a lot of wildlife on this ranch. Specifically, what we were looking for was aoudad, which is a large kind of mountainous sheep style animal, or sorry, they look like bighorn sheep, basically. Large, kind of swirly horns, large kind of goat sheep like animals. They're huge. And the other main thing we were looking for, is mule deer. Not a ton of whitetail that's out there. It's primarily, and that's West Texas in general. It's primarily made up of mule deer, which are, they're larger than whitetails, or can be. Most of them are. They have huge bodies. They look like kind of like cows. Some of them are real fat in the middle, right, with antlers. And they have these big ears, that lets them hear in that, very windy terrain. So, so luckily for my brother, he went out with two other guys, and we had an amazing guide named Felix, and they saw a lot of things. They had nothing that was worth shooting, but as they were driving the truck back to the ranch house, they saw a buck. Felix can spot these. We were driving around later in the evening, or basically in the afternoon, late afternoon, and he could spot a deer 400 yards away up on a mountain ridge. I mean, he just has these laser focused eagle eyes, and so he sees one, and he sees a pretty good buck. And the other two gentlemen, Rob and Bob, that were with him, looked at my brother and they said, "Are you going to shoot this? You going to shoot this guy?" And my brother, who, again, not a huge hunter, was able to pop up. He had his rifle, and he put him in his sights, fired the gun, and boom, he disappeared into the brush. But he knew he hit him. He knew he hit him. And so for the next, I think, 15 to 20 minutes, I wasn't there. I was still driving in. They searched for this buck, this mule deer, that they couldn't find. They couldn't find him in this very, thick brush. So I get there. I roll up, and they had just, my dad was there. My cousin Taylor had just gotten there. My Uncle Kenny and Jeff were in the house. And they had just about 5 minutes after I got there, they roll up and they say, "Mac shot a deer. Mac shot a deer." And we're like, "Okay, well, where is it? That's exciting. Oh my God." Like, there's nothing better than the very first hunt of the trip. You down something, because then you're like, okay, like, worth it. We're not going to be waiting to the hopefully last morning or afternoon to see something and take something down. So, well, we can't find it. Okay, well, I'm, been 6 hours in the car ready to get out there. I'm just, all right, let me put on my boots and let's go find this thing. So we gear up. My dad goes with me. It's me, my brother, Felix, and and me. And we just kind of go back to where he had shot him. He said that's where he was. He pointed exactly where he was, where he shot him. And then we just started literally walking in circles. And the first like 5 minutes we get there, my dad, we kind of hit an area, and I was like, I'm going to go to the right, you go to the left with my dad. And he goes down into this little creek bed and pops up and he goes, "Here he is. He found him." And he was a great sized mule deer. It's an 8-point mule deer. My brother's very first deer period. So it was an incredible moment. He looked good. And what we did was actually wound up taking him back and doing a skull mount for him, a Euro mount for him. And I gave it to him. I'm going to give it to him for Christmas. So, as well as I get the benefits of keeping most of the deer sausage, which, because I took it in and took it out. So yes, success on the first day. For the rest of the trip, we were able to see lots of different things. There was a lot of elk on the property. We saw elk, mainly cows and calves, but I think we saw one big spike. But I feel like we saw the majority of the animals that we saw were elk, actually. Then we were able to come across some javelinas as well. That was the second afternoon, and we took at least one of those down. That was cool because javelinas just tear up your land. They're nasty animals. They can be aggressive if you meet one in the wild. So glad we were able to take some of those down. The biggest, I guess, disappointment, although it's not much that we could do, because they were a far shot away. But we did, I guess, the second morning came across a group of aoudad, and my cousin's brother-in-law, Rob Wellington, he was telling me he just feels like these aoudad have been. They've gone a lot of times. This is our first time going, but they've plagued him specifically because he's had several times where he's seen them but not been able to shoot them. So we did roll up. They were kind of on the side of this mountain range. Felix is like, "Shoot, shoot, shoot." They still was a really far shot. We did our best to, and I thought, no way that we not between 5 guys can we not down one of these things. But I think we were just a little too far away to get a really good shot on them, even with some scopes. So we were not able to take down any aoudad, but it was really cool to see them out in the wild. I've never seen one before and have a shot at downing one of the larger males. So that was the trip. The food and the hospitality was incredible. It is one of the most incredible places, like I said, in Texas, I believe. If you get a chance to ever visit, you have to hit up Alpine, Marfa, Marathon, Big Bend National Park. Go camping. There's lots of there's lots of glamping opportunities, especially in the Marfa area. You can stay in a teepee or a yurt if you're just not wanting to rough it, if you will. And I don't blame you, especially if you want to go in, because it gets cold at night. It's that real wide open desert terrain. So I don't blame you for wanting to glamp and not be out there just stuck in a regular old camping tent. But in the summer, spring and fall, I mean, it is perfect weather. It does get pretty hot in the summer, but mainly in the day, and then it cools down in the winter. But yeah, Big Bend is on my bucket list. I still haven't had a chance to go, but I'm surprising my wife for Christmas with. I have booked us 3 nights at the historic Gage Hotel in Marathon, just 30 miles south of Alpine. And we're going to stay there and have a nice family vacation, my wife, my daughter, and myself, and be able to really explore the Big Bend area. We're not going to probably do a ton of exploring just because my daughter's pretty young, but we'll be able to drive through it, probably do some driving tours, things like that. We'll be able to explore Marathon. We're going to make the trip to Alpine and definitely Morpha, just to kind of see, give my wife a tour of West Texas and Big Bend, and as she's never been and heard so many great things from me and our friends. And I can't wait to document that trip and report back to you guys probably end of March, early April. So hit us up. Let me know if you have any questions about Alpine, about hunting in the Big Bend area, anything to do with the Big Bend. I'd be happy to be your guide and answer any questions you may have. If you have any questions about the podcast or where we're going, please let us know in the comments. Feel free to reach out to us. We're going to be getting some exciting updates. We're going to be setting up our website in the coming month. We're going to be looking to set up some branding opportunities with a couple key, probably more clothing lines and other kind of brands that we can kind of partner with and get their, things that I actually use and wear and do out there. And we're just going to be, looking at an incredible 2024 and expanding the Texas on My Mind experience. So thanks so much for listening in and joining me today. I hope you have an amazing Christmas and a happy New Year. Thanks so much.